Welcome to the Code Along series on creating a chat application. In the previous video, we saw how we are going to approach the task. If you have not seen it already, would suggest you go back and view it. It's only 2.5 minutes. It'll give you much more context of what we are doing. In this video, we'll set up an account in Heroku and we will install PostgreSQL database locally in our system. As always, if you like this content, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so let's get started. For this project, let's create a folder in our desktop called rchat. Next, we will install a virtual environment. In this series, we'll be using pip to install the packages. Pip is a package management system that comes with Python by default, though some of the older versions may not have pip. And this number 3 at the end is the Python 3 version of pip. So to check whether you have pip and to upgrade to the latest version of pip, we say pip 3 install pip. Okay, so we have successfully upgraded to the latest version of pip. So if it says something like requirements are up to date already, that means you're already set and you have the latest version of pip. If pip returns an error, you most likely do not have pip installed. I will add a link in the description below on how to install it. So install pip and join us back. Okay, now that we have confirmed that pip is installed in our system, let's continue. In this project, we'll be installing a lot of packages. Instead of installing these packages system-wide, it's a good practice to install them in an isolated room or an environment, as it's called. Why is this a good practice? Well, installing packages in an isolated virtual environment avoids any system-wide compatibility issues. It also removes the chances of us installing a package that may accidentally break something else system-wide. Setting up a virtual environment basically means that any package that we install for this project will only be accessible within the environment. Okay, so virtual environment are a great idea. How do we set this up? That's easy. To install a virtual environment, we are again going to use pip install and then virtual environment. I already have virtual environment installed, so it says requirement already satisfied. In your case, if you don't have virtual environment installed, it will show some sort of a success message. I will include a link in the description below to the official documentation page in case you get stuck somewhere. Okay, now that we have installed the tool to create a virtual environment, let's create a virtual environment for this project. To do this, we just type virtual environment followed by the folder for the virtual environment. In our case, let's call the folder VENV, or short for virtual environment. All right, it says done. The last step is to activate the virtual environment. Now, you do it slightly differently in Windows versus the other systems. I'm using Mac OS, so I would say source and then the name of the folder /bin/activate. Now, if I'm on a Windows environment, I would use a slightly different syntax. At any rate, you should refer to the virtual environment documentation page to make sure that you are using the right syntax for this. Now, before we move, let's confirm that the virtual environment has been set up correctly. So let's type which Python. This will tell you which installation of Python are we currently working off from. You can see we are working off the path of the folder where we have executed the virtual environment. Now to deactivate the virtual environment, you can just say deactivate. Let's run which Python again. As you can see, it's no longer running from the folder that we had created. It's a different instance of Python. So let's go back and activate Python again. Okay, so we have created and activated the virtual environment. The next step is to open an account in Heroku, where we will eventually deploy our database and application. Creating an account in Heroku is a straightforward process. Just visit heroku.com to create the free account. I have already created an account, so I'll just log into mine. Once you're at the dashboard, click on New, Create New App. Give the app a name. Heroku also checks whether the name is available. So let's see if we can get rchat. It's already taken. Let's see if we have rchat app. Okay, you can ignore the region and just say create app. Next step, Let's add a database to our app. To do this, click on Resources, Add-ons, and then just type Postgres. You won't even have to type the whole thing. Heroku Postgres. This is the one we want. Click on it. Leave the plan name to the free version and say Provision. And click on Heroku PostgreSQL. From here, click on Settings. Click on View Credentials. Let's copy the link to the database. We're going to need it in the next video. Next, we need to install PostgreSQL locally in our system. Now, you don't have to necessarily do this step, and you can skip this step completely. Installing it locally just makes it easy to access PostgreSQL database directly from the command line. From here, go to the Downloads page, and here you will find different instructions on how to install it for different systems. If I am using a Windows system, I would click on Windows, and I could install the Enterprise DB installer from here and follow the instructions. We are on Mac, so we'll click on Mac. In Mac also, we can do Enterprise DB installer and use that. There are also different options for Mac. You could install the Postgres app, you could use Fink project. I'm going to use Homebrew. It's fairly straightforward installing it using Homebrew. Now, in case you don't have Homebrew installed in your computer, I will leave a link below to the Homebrew page. It again is a fairly straightforward process to install Homebrew. So let's go back to the terminal. To install Postgres, all we say is brew install Postgres. So in my case, I already have a version installed in my computer. It's asking me to upgrade to the latest version of Postgres. To confirm that PostgreSQL has been installed correctly, just type psql -- version. So if you see the version of the Postgres which is installed, it's all fine. If you see some sort of an error message, in which case you have done something wrong, just go back to the website, look at the instructions and make sure you have followed it to the T. Okay, now the last thing you also want to make sure is that you have Git installed in your system. In case you don't, I will leave a link below with the installation instructions. Again, it's a fairly straightforward process, and if you have any trouble, just let me know in the comments below. So that's it. In the next video, we'll start writing some code.